What's going on, Tom, Matthew? I'm just giving it a minute for everybody to get on, and I am trying to pull it up on my laptop so I can see the comments better. I don't really have a topic. Hey, Rod, I don't really. Hey, becoming dangerous. I waited for you to get a hold of me, buddy. I was actually going to have you on. Um, I just think the lives are better when there's somebody that you can talk with and stuff like that. But I don't really have a topic, so basically it's just kind of going to be whatever you guys want to talk about. Throw something in the comments, and if I see it, we'll talk about it. Don't really matter what it is. So, hey, Chris, how you doing, bud? All right, so now I'm pulling it up on the computer so that I can read the comments. Well, I thought I was. What the hell's going on? All right. Let me do this. Am I a Satanist? Absolutely not. I'm a Christian. Do I do trainings? No, I don't do trainings. I've been to some. Um, I'm not a professional by any means. I wouldn't want to train anybody. Plowboy, I don't really have a topic. This was more of a. We just gained a whole bunch of subscribers on this channel, and a few people said I needed to go live, so I figured I would just go live and see what you guys want to talk about. If there's something that you want to discuss, throw it in the comments. I'm open to just about whatever. Yep, I ate every one of them animals that's up there. How you doing, Jason? If I see something really stupid in the comments, I'm not even gonna do a topic on it. So my profession is a lineman. I climb telephone poles and repair communications cables, stuff like that. Been doing it for about 33 years. Ethan, everything up there I killed. I cut the meat myself. I processed. I ate it. I actually stuffed everything up there myself too. Uh, Butter. No, this is I usually stop shaving usually like November 1st because I work outside in the cold. Believe it or not, it helps. As soon as the weather starts getting warm in March, this will all come off. It's just a thing more about being comfortable working outside. I have been to a few Christmas parties as Captain Spaulding. People say I seem to pull that off pretty well. Butter basket, yes, I guess I'm an animal killer. I like to eat fresh animals, not stuff with thousands of preservatives and all kinds of crap in it. But hey, to each their own. I have friends that are vegetarians. That's cool, Rod. I'll look for a video on your new side by side. Trey, I don't know how to do it while the thing's actually running as far as making a mod. I will try and do it after the live's over. If you're looking for training, most shooting ranges that I know of have people there that can train. I don't train for one thing. I have four kids, six grandkids. Between work and everything else, my time is very limited. And like I said, I am not a professional. I would not want to train somebody and train them wrong. Nope. Actually, batch. Um, and I started that a few years back. What happened was there was an author, and I didn't know it at the time because A American was just, I was A American. That's it. But there was an author with that name. And I actually ended up talking to him on social media, and he told me the name was trademarked. So I changed the name. He didn't tell me I had to or anything else, but he did say that the book publisher that he uses in that um, trademark that name or something to that effect, and that they may send a lawyer to tell me to change the name. I wasn't trying to roll on his credits or nothing, so I chose to change it to AR American. And to be honest with you, the only reason I chose AR American instead of A American was the very first video I did on the old channel, which got taken down, and I had to start all over because I let it get political. And back at that time, you could not say anything political. That was right around 2020, 2021. And so I've actually, because this isn't an AR channel, I do videos on so many different types of guns that I've actually thought about changing the name. I just have never really thought of a good name to change it to. Yeah, Tom, you've been with me a long time. I can't remember how long you've been a part of this channel, but it, yeah, you probably do remember that. Yeah, E.W. Fisher. I have no hard feelings towards him. He actually told me don't change the name. He was going to talk to the book editors, whoever had trademarked the name, and see if it was okay if I kept it. Really, really cool guy. I actually have listened to the audio versions of his books quite a few times. Like I said, really cool guy. And I had no problems when I found out that he had had that name before me changing that name. Is it bad that you started drinking at 10 a.m.? That's up for you to decide. I don't. tell people how to live their lives or what they should do or shouldn't do. I've made more than my fair mistakes in life. I don't get involved in that. Fallacy. What I do now is just I do a lot of gun work. I build my own guns and that, so I show guns that I've bought that were. I buy a lot of guns that are broken and stuff like that, and I show the guns before I start. You can't obviously show gunsmithing how to do it, so I show the progress as it goes along, then the finished product when I'm done working on one. Or if I find something I just really like, I do a video on it. I've done videos on everything from double barrel rifles that I've built, elephant guns to um, old Mausers that I've sporterized to handguns. I like to love old Western guns, so I've done some old Western gun tricks and stuff. It's kind of I do all kinds of stuff. No, I cannot show guns on a live. I can show guns in videos, but you cannot show a gun at all on a live. Jonas, no, I am not a veteran. I was the very first person in my family not to go in the military. My dad fought in the Vietnam War. He took two Purple Hearts, and he did never wanted his kids to go through all the stuff he went through with PTSD and all kinds of other stuff. I did try to join during Desert Storm back when Bush was in. I think that was like 89, 90. Um, Unfortunately, when I was young, I was kind of crazy and got in some trouble. Never graduated high school, started a family very young, and because I had no high school diploma, the military wouldn't take me. It wasn't like when my dad was a kid where they'd just take anybody. You kind of have to, at least I'm 52. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, you had to have a high school diploma to join. So, no, I did try to join, but the military literally wouldn't take me because I didn't have a high school diploma. Hey, you ain't gotta be sorry to hear nothing, Tom. I've had a great life. I cannot complain. I've been married to my second wife for 25 years. We have two kids together. Another one that we adopted. I have a daughter from my first marriage. I'm very close to all my kids and my grandkids, and I'm a very blessed man. I really don't have anything to complain about. I'm not wealthy or nothing else, but like I said, I got a wonderful wife, four kids, six grandkids. That's the stuff that really matters. Um, Honestly, I learned gunsmithing from my grandfather. He used to buy the old military Mausers and sporterize them. I started out just changing the stocks. Sometimes I'd cut the stocks. Most of the time I'd buy like a Boyd's or a Fajan stock or something. And um, I bought books on how to ream the chambers when they're short chambered, when you rebarrel a gun and that. But with YouTube now, there's a couple really good channels like Cinnabar, and I cannot ever seem to remember Anvil. I can't remember the guy's name, but Anvil. He probably has the best gunsmithing channel out there. I mean, he shows everything. So that's honestly between videos and books. That's how I learned to do it. I don't know. Yes, Mark Novak. For some reason, when I get in front of a camera, it's hard for me to. It's like my mind gets blank. So, um, but Mark Novak has lots and lots of some of the best videos I've seen as far as showing how to do things and that. And he is a professional gunsmith. Um, I don't know if colleges around you might teach that or something. as far as I know, there's no colleges around me. There are online courses, but I would never recommend them, just because I don't know if that paper means anything. You take one of these online courses and you may be wasting your money. I don't work as a professional gunsmith either. I don't work on other people's guns for the most part. I just do my thing, and it's just something that I enjoy. It's a hobby for me, and I try and share it with you guys. Hey, thanks, Curve 57. I appreciate that. Hey, Fluffy 10 millimeter. How you doing, buddy? Thank you, Dexter. Jonas, I don't know why they wanted a high school diploma. That's just what they wanted when we went to uh, war with Iraq and that. You know, remember the whole thing during the Bush administration, weapons of mass destruction. But they wouldn't take me, which was probably a good thing. I mean, it worked out great. I got to spend that time with my oldest daughter instead of being over in some foreign country and possibly getting killed. I respect the military. Like I said, I was the first one in my family not to go in the military. But, you know, if you go into combat, there's always a possibility of becoming dangerous. Knows he was in the military that you might not come back. And I was fortunate enough to. I actually grew up with my oldest daughter. I had my oldest daughter at a very young age, and like I said, life's full of regrets, but you can't go back in time. You can't change things. So you move on and make the best with what you got. I've had a very blessed life, so I really don't have anything to complain about. Hey, Hillbilly, how you doing? Um, Actually, fallacy. When I say adopted, there was my wife was very good at taking in troubled kids that the parents had just had enough of them and couldn't deal with them. Kids that were in a lot of trouble. And one, well, more than one, actually, a few of them lived with us. They graduated high school. Um, they call us mom and dad, and I mean, they're our kids. I mean, there was never no legal paperwork or nothing. Basically, one moved in with us. His dad and my wife were like close friends, like brother and sister, and their house burnt down. He was 14 years old, I think, and so he came to live with us while the parents were rebuilding the house. The parents ended up getting divorced about the time the house was done getting rebuilt. Each of them got different partners when they got divorced. He couldn't get along with his dad's girlfriend, his mom's boyfriend, so he just stayed with us. And you know, my kids call him their older brother. He calls my kids his brothers and sisters. I mean, he calls me dad. His kids call me papa. So when I say adopted, it wasn't like legal adoption going through all the thing. He's mine. I don't like the term step kids, adopted kids. He's my son. Uh, Tom, I since I was a little kid, I had seen some old videos of people hunting in Africa elephants and Cape Buffalo, and I just thought that that would just be really cool hunting dangerous game. And as I got older, I learned that they hunted with a lot of your big time professional hunters in Africa use double barrel rifles. I grew up with double barrel shotguns. That's what my dad hunted with. So I already had a affection for side by side double shotguns, and I just wanted a double rifle. I was never wealthy, and so I just decided to build one. And the first couple I tried to build didn't really work out, but I just got more information and more information. There is hold on just a minute. If you've got a basic gunsmithing knowledge and a little bit of machining knowledge in that, uh, W. Ellis Brown wrote a book, Building Double Rifles on Shotgun Actions. I've got the second edition. Um, Between my knowledge and the knowledge he put in the book, I was able to figure it out. And if you actually, I think there is a playlist, Elephant Guns or Safari Guns. I've built two double barrel rifles. I'm actually in the process of building a 45-70 that I will be giving to a close friend of mine. Um, it'll be black powder only. I really need to get on it. I have been telling him and promising him I would get it done, but I always seem to get sidetracked or off on something else. So I need to get that finished up. Um, the first couple Safari elephant guns I built were on bolt actions, but like I said, I just wanted double rifles. So being that I've never been wealthy, we were very poor when I was growing up. I'm not by any means hurting today. I doing okay, but I had to build them. I mean, I couldn't even today, even if I had 10 grand, and that's about the cheapest double barrel rifle you're ever going to find. Even if I had 10 grand, there would be no way, as just a regular everyday person like you guys, I could justify spending 10 grand on any gun, especially one that basically would just be for having fun with. I mean, if I was a professional hunter hunting dangerous game, I could justify 10 grand, 20 grand. Some of them Holland and Hollands, or I mean, you're talking 100 grand. Just can't justify that. So it's kind of like, if you really, really want something, you're just going to have to figure out a way to do it, and you have to figure out a way to keep it in your budget. I mean, I couldn't make my kids go without or my wife go without for a toy. And I mean, that's basically what a double rifle is for me. It's more of a toy. I mean, I'm not a professional hunter for a living. I don't hunt elephants and lions and Cape Buffalo and all that. I mean, there's nothing in Michigan that I need an elephant gun for. It's just something I like, and so I had to find a way to do it. And I mean, not my time, money wise. It probably cost me $500-600 to build a double rifle. I can justify that. As far as what I would do for the younger generation, I mean, I grew up in a different time. I was born in the very early 70s. Um, I was born, we didn't have a lot of extra money in that. Um, I grew up with my grandfather and my dad saying, I mean, they had sayings like, only an idiot would pay somebody to do something they could do for themselves. My dad had this saying that whenever I said I can't do something, he'd always say, can't means can if you try. It was just a different world when I was growing up. We grew a garden. We killed our own meat. I mean, we raised chickens and sometimes a pig and that, and we would butcher our animals, grow our gardens, and stuff like that. I growing up in a military family, I was taught about respect for America, for the American flag. Um, oh wow, Tom, you grew up in Chelsea on a farm. I lived in Chelsea from the time I was 15 until I was almost 19 on Crooked Lake out there. But I grew up in a time where when I still do it. If a girl is younger than me at a gas station or even a man, it's yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I grew up being taught that this country ain't perfect, but this is our country and we respect it. I mean, I could never burn an American flag without my dad or my grandfather literally probably trying to kill me. Um, they just, I don't know, it was a totally different world. When I was a kid, you didn't have all the corruption in politics that you have now. I remember as a kid that your senators and your congressmen, when they came on TV, they would say, as your elected representatives, because that's what they are. They're representatives. Now they come on TV, they look at you and say, as your elected leaders, because they don't represent you. They don't feel that you and them are equal. They feel that they are above you. And that's all politicians. I mean, it's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's all of them. None of them say representative. They always refer as your elected leaders. Um, we were taught yes, sir, yes, ma'am. We didn't. I moved out because I wanted to get tattoos. I wanted to ride motorcycles. I rode in motorcycle clubs. My dad wasn't going to have that when I was growing up, and so I had to figure things out the hard way. Um, Cops, when I was growing up, if you were, we were taught that if somebody was following you, if you felt unsafe, you would go find a cop. It didn't matter what color you were. People trusted the police when I was a kid. Maybe it's because I grew up out in the country in a small town. I didn't grow up in Chicago or New York or something like that. But there doesn't seem to be any of that trust in the cops anymore. It's a totally different world. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. When I was growing up, we fixed our own cars. We didn't take them. Well, my dad was a mechanic, my grandfather was a mechanic, but we didn't take stuff to get fixed. My dad and my grandfather didn't weld, but if something needed to be welded, they knew somebody that knew how to weld. So they would trade some of their skills for some of his skills. There was a lot of trading when I was growing up. Carpenters trading their skills with mechanics, welders trading their skills with this person and that person. It was just a different time, I guess. It's very possible you ran into me, Tom. I fished out there on Crooked Lake and Kavanaugh Lake, and um, I used to hunt all over Waterloo area, um, Mud Lake. What was that other? I think it was Cedar Lake or something. There's so many lakes out in Chelsea, but Waterloo was my main hunting area where I pheasant hunted, rabbit hunted, deer hunting. Yeah, fallacy. I mean, you look at my oldest daughter. She is 36. The world looks completely different from my oldest daughter to her. My daughter's generation, the world's changed so much. Here's this is the thing. When I was growing up, I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old when the first video game came out, and that was Atari. Um, we didn't have cordless phones. I don't remember cordless phones when I was little. We had old rotary phones where you turn the dial and it goes click, 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 click. Um, I mean, the TV when I was 4 or 5 years old, we had one color television in the living room, and then my dad had a black and white TV in their bedroom. We didn't have cable TV. We had channels like 50, 27, 4, 2. Um, there was probably only 20 channels total. Um, there was no cell phones. There was no computers when I was little. I think computers started getting kind of like in school, teaching in school when I was a teenager, shortly before I dropped out of school. Cell phones. I mean, I remember seeing cell phones in movies when I was a kid, and I mean, they were like, this tall, big old giant things. It was just a totally different world. I mean, the technology has changed so drastically and so fast that when I look back as I'm a kid, it's hard to believe, like my daughter, my youngest daughter, she doesn't ever remember a world without computers, without cell phones, without, all that stuff. Yeah, Tom, I do a lot of trading and bartering. I mean, that's just, you know, how I grew up. I still do it. We didn't have a party line, John. Some of my friends did, and that was the weirdest thing to me. Um, my grandparents, my parents, they just had one telephone in the kitchen usually, and it wasn't a party line. But yeah, I when I worked for the phone company in my 20s, we actually there was people that still had party lines, even though there was nobody else on the party line with them. They were grandfathered in, and because they got a super cheap bill. Yeah, I mean, I grew up right down the street from Fluffy 10 millimeter, and he was like me, never wealthy or nothing. We had rabbit ears on top of our TVs with tin foil on them, trying to get a signal. Um, it was just like I said, totally different time. My kids would never know what to do, or my grandkids without cable TV and 100 channels and that. Yeah, some people said that there would be, and like I said, I never actually lived anywhere with a party line, but like you'd have three rings, two rings, three rings, two rings. Some people would have just two rings, two rings, two rings, two rings. It was weird. I don't know how they did that, but I mean, they did it. So, yeah, Gunny, he's like a brother to me in the comments. He's older than I am, so I'm sure when I'm talking about these things, he's probably laughing because it was even totally different than when he was a kid. I think he's 10 years older than me. Yeah, see, the Riflemen would have been reruns for me, but I watched that. I mean, I don't remember what channel it was now. I'm getting older, but when I was a kid, I mean, every Saturday and every Sunday, just about, it was just westerns. I mean, there was so many westerns. I grew up. That's maybe why I have a I guess a fondness for the western guns over everything else because that's just what I grew up with. I grew up with Clint Eastwood, with Lee Van Cleef, with John Wayne, and all that stuff. That's just what was on in our house. Now, my son grew up with action stars, and my son he prefers more modern guns. Doesn't My guns aren't better than what he prefers. His guns aren't better than what I prefer. I think it's just the way people grow up, and if you grow up eating southern food, you're going to prefer southern food. If you grew up, eating steaks every day, you're just going to prefer what's normal to you, what you grew up with, because that's what brings back memories for you and stuff like that. Hey, Clyde, how you doing? Yeah, no, things were a little different, John, when I was a kid. Um, the TV was always in the living room. It got turned off. We ate dinner. Then when we got done eating dinner, everybody go back in the living room. And that was something I was talking to somebody else about earlier today. Um, yeah, I mean the quality of life was better back then, hillbillies. But that depends on who you talk to. I enjoyed my life. We went out fishing, we went out hunting. If we were gonna eat dinner in the summertime, my granny would send me out to pick some beans, pick some corn, and it was all fresh out of the garden. Maybe go grab a chicken and cut the head off and bring it in, and then she would do the feathers and that. It was a different time. To me, it was better, but my kids wouldn't probably agree with that. They had it easier than I had it. I mean, I grew up, we'd go pheasant hunting. My granny'd be plucking feathers out of pheasants and that, um, it was just, I don't know, the way I grew up. I really enjoyed my childhood for the most part. Jonas, I actually met my second wife. My brother, my younger brother, my baby brother, who died in 2007, was married to my second wife's really close friend, like a sister to her. And so I met my second wife when I split up from my first wife. I moved in with my brother and my sister in law while I was going through the divorce. My second wife would come over there and hang out with them, and she lived across the street. And over time, me and her became friends, and then eventually we got together, got married, and I've been with her almost half my life now. So Clint Eastwood is definitely one of my favorites. It's a toss up. It just depends on my mood. But actually, Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood flip flop, which is my first and second favorite. It just depends on my mood. Um, One thing you'll learn about me if you watch this channel is I believe in changing your mind. What I like today, I may not like a year from now or 2 years from now. Or if I have a gun that's my favorite today, 10 years from now, it may not be my favorite. I mean, I'm not, I try to be open minded, just, but I like all kinds of guns. I like all kinds of motorcycles. I like all kinds of cars. I like all kinds of trucks. It just depends, I mean, I try not to box myself in. There's channels where they're kind of locked into one specific thing. I don't want to be locked in anything. If I want to do an AR video tomorrow or an AK video tomorrow, or if I want to do an old single action army video or a shotgun video, I just want to be able to do whatever I just happen to be into in that day because I'm kind of ADHD. I kind of, it's hard for me to just stay on one thing. I like too many different things. I like too many different styles of guns, too many different styles of motorcycles, and all that. Married since 73, John. I was a year old in 73. Yeah, fallacy. I mean, you're quite, you said you graduated in 85 at 16, so you're right around my age. It's just a totally different world. I mean, perfect example. My dad grew up in the 50s and into the 60s. My dad had the Fonzie type haircut. He had the T-shirt with the cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve and stuff like that. He was the, if you ever seen the movie Grease, like them kind of guys. He was in the hot rods and that. When I was a kid, um, for whatever reason, I was the only one in my family that really got big into tattoos, but I had real long hair, long beard. I mean, I could grow a beard at 16, 17 years old. So, I was growing my beard long, my hair long. I had this fascination with the Hells Angels and the Outlaws, and I wanted to be a Hells Angel or something when I grew up. And I never was a Hells Angel, but I did ride motorcycle clubs for 10 years. I figured out as my oldest daughter was getting older that that's that's a lifestyle that I didn't. It's a lifestyle for a single man. It's not a good lifestyle for a married man with kids and a wife and all that. And that's just my opinion. There may be other people that think differently, but I just didn't think that the kind of stuff that I got into, the kind of stuff that I was doing was not the kind of stuff I wanted my daughter being raised in and growing up thinking that men did the things that I did and acted the way I acted. I wanted my daughter to find, because your daughters, if you're a dad, your daughters are going to tend to lean towards men that remind them of their dad. So if their dad is a drug addict and an alcoholic and verbally abusive and gets in fights and all that, they're going to tend to the daughters are going to tend to lean towards men like that in most cases, not all the time. And sons look at their dads on how to be a man. And I decided I wanted to be a different type of man for my kids. Yeah, Tom, I know you then. If you graduated in 92, I went to Chelsea High School, I think in 89 and possibly 90. I guarantee you I know you if I seen you. Maybe one day we'll have to my email is in my channel. Email me and we'll maybe we'll go out and do some rabbit hunting or do some fishing this summer or something. But reach out to me and get a hold of me. Hey, Jay Wheeler. Jay Wheeler is a great guy, you guys. He's got a great channel. If you don't know who he is, he's a very good friend of mine. And someday I'm gonna get around to doing a video on a holster video. He does some beautiful leather work, but he's just one of those people you can't help but like if you get to know him. So check him out. Thank you, Monty. Yeah, I like revolvers. I like the bird's head grip Ronin. But I like everything. I like 1911s. I like Beretta 92s. I like ARs. I like AKs. I mean, I even got an Uzi. I think if you go in my shorts, there's a video of me shooting a Uzi. I mean, there's not really a whole lot as far as guns that I don't like. Um, I talk crap about high points, but I got some buddies that got high points and they're reliable guns. They're just bigger and heavier and uglier, to me, my opinion, than what I like. I've shot Glocks. I don't care for the first generation and second generation Glock grip. It feels square. It doesn't. I don't like the way it feels in my hand. The biggest reason why I don't like Glocks now, my buddy Jimmy that was in one of the videos with me, he's got some, I think they're Gen 5 Glocks, and the grip's different and they don't feel bad. But the thing that really turned me off about the Glocks was, and I call them the Glock fanboys, the guys that, if it's not a Glock, they just dog the crap out of everything that's not a Glock. And I just don't, I like everything, man. I grew up, when I grew up, there was lots of gangster movies, Al Capone movies and stuff too, and them guys all had snub noses and Tommy guns, and so I like snub noses, I like 1911s, and I like Tommy guns. I had a Tommy gun. I wish I would have kept it, but it was one of the auto ordnance with the 16-inch barrel semi-automatic, but it was still cool. I like so much different stuff. It's really hard for me to find something I don't like as far as guns go. Absolutely. Some guys will look for women that reminds them of their mother. I mean, the woman I got with, my second wife, she's a wonderful mother. She has seen me through some hard times. I've been in a couple head-on motorcycle wrecks when I was younger and that, and I mean, she helped me get sober. She helped me stay off the dope when I lost my brothers and my dad. She's taken in half a dozen kids that weren't hers and helped get them on the right path, helped get them to graduate high school and that. She's just a very loving and caring person. Sometimes I wonder what she's seen in me because I can be very stubborn, I can be very opinionated, and but it works. 25 years, over 25 years together. Thank you, Mile High. This, like I said, this whole live was just some people asked me to do a live. Normally, I like to have a guest when I do a live and kind of talk about either guns or, things that are going on, current topics and that. Um, I didn't have a guest tonight, so I basically just figured I would do a Q&A, and you guys, we just got a whole bunch of new subscribers too, so you guys could ask me questions and maybe get to know a little bit about me, you know. So, like I said, I'm a regular everyday guy. You know, I go to work every day. I work hard. I'm not rich, never have been rich, and even if I was rich, I've been poor so long I'd probably still live like I was, poor. Thank you, Mile High. Um, I used to not talk about politics on this channel. Um, I have over a few times talked about politics, but in general, I don't really talk a whole lot about politics because, to be honest with you, I'm kind of burned out on them. And it seems like since COVID, so much stuff is always happening, constantly happening, that you can't keep up with it. I mean, I remember when the Hells Angels were going to kick the gangs out and that, and it turned out to be crap. Um, I mean, there's just so much stuff going on, and in order to talk about that kind of stuff, you kind of have to be one of the first ones to get it out there. Well, a lot of times when you're trying to be the first one to get it out there, you're getting the first bit of information. That's not always accurate information. And if I don't know, I'd just rather not. I mean, I'll just tell you, I don't know or whatever. I'm not trying to spit out a bunch of bullshit, not trying to sell people nothing. Um, I used to do prepping videos on my first channel, and I found that a lot of the other prepping channels, if you're not selling battle boxes and you're not, or promoting battle boxes, and if you're not promoting some really expensive survival food, then they'd give you crap, And when I was talking prepping, I was telling people stuff like, "Hey, man, me and my wife buy the off brand, staff brand or Spartan brand green beans. So if we thought we needed 2 cans of green beans for dinner one week, we would buy a third can or fourth cans because cans of beans were pretty cheap, and we thought we needed two for the week. We'd buy 3 or 4, and we'd put 1 or 2 away so that we'd have them. And it didn't take us long. I mean, during COVID, we didn't go to the grocery store for really much of nothing for over 6 months because we had just been slowly putting away cans of food, and we had well over 6 months worth of food put away. And we didn't even, I mean, me and her were relatively new to starting it. I think we'd only been prepping for like a year before COVID hit. So, it just, I don't know. It just seems like it's really hard to, everybody's got a different way of doing things. People want to attack people if you don't do it their way. I mean, it happens in the gun channels too. I don't see it as much, but the prepping channels, they tend to attack the bigger prepping channels tend to attack anybody that doesn't toe the line. I do watch Bear Independent. I like him, and Angry Prepper are probably the only two I watch. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. Ronan, yeah, I just, I don't know, man. As I'm getting older, I realize that life's short, and I'm not going to sit here and focus on every single bad thing that happens in the world and constantly be stressed out or miserable or whatever. I want to spend time with my kids, my grandkids. I want to enjoy life. I want to do things like go fishing or go shooting or just, enjoy life. I mean, my brother died at like 26 27 years old, fell off a telephone pole, worked where I worked, doing the same work, fell off a telephone pole, broke his neck, killed him. Left behind a wife and 2 kids. Life's too short. I've got probably 6, 7 months worth of food put away. I've got ammo put away. I've got guns put away. I'm not going to worry about what might happen. These people might do this. Them people might do that. You know what? I might hit the lotto too. Odds are I'm probably not, but I might. So I just try and prepare for whatever I think might happen. And then if something happens, I'll deal with it then. I don't go on vacation out of state on a motorcycle or in my truck thinking the whole way that my vehicle is going to break down. I throw some tools in my vehicle, you know, maybe some common parts like an upper radiator hose and a lower radiator hose, a little bit of extra oil, a little bit of extra antifreeze, and then I go on vacation. And if something happens, I'll figure it out. I've always figured it out. I've been hit head on twice. You know, it took me almost a year to learn how to walk right again after the second one. I've died a couple times and they brought me back. I can't worry about things that I can't control. I can't worry about what other people are doing. I'm just worried about what I'm doing and trying to do my own thing. Fallacy, I'm not modest. I mean, when I was younger, I was hot headed. I was not a very nice person at all when I was younger. I had drinking problems. I had drug problems. I had all kinds of problems. I just have gotten older and figured out that a lot of things that I thought were important or thought mattered didn't really matter because I try to spend as much time with my grandkids as I can. When I was growing up, my dad worked all the time. When I had my kids would say, "Let's go fishing, Dad," and I'd be like, "Yeah, maybe next weekend. I got to work, or I got this going on, or I got that going on." My daughter, do this with me. We'll get it next weekend or something. And I missed out on a lot of time with my kids. I spent a lot of time with them, but I missed out on a lot of time too because I always thought, yeah, there's always next week and there's always next week, there's always next year. Well, now I'm getting older and I'm realizing people my age are dying off, heart attacks or strokes or just whatever, Um, grandparents are starting to pass, brothers have passed and that. And it's just, you don't know how much time you get on this planet. I could walk out the door tomorrow, get my truck to go to work, and get T-boned by a semi and get taken out. So I'm just not going to spend my life worried or stressed out or freaking out about things that could happen, might happen, whatever. Whatever happens, I'll just deal with it when it comes to it. I'm just not going to stress out and worry about stuff. Thank you, Insight. You know, I don't know. I've got this thing where I try and be a little better person today than I was yesterday. Some days I do better at it, some days I don't. Life's short. I don't want to be remembered as an asshole or whatever. I would like to be remembered as a decent person. Yeah, I mean, I thought I needed night vision, and I did a video on it, military grade night vision cheap. Night vision is something you got to train with. You're not going to put night vision on and just automatically be, you know, an operator. Um, I don't live in a place where I can do a lot of night shooting and that. I don't. I tried just to drive down a back road at 10 mile an hour, and your depth perception is so messed up, so much different with night vision. If you want to use night vision, you're going to have to really train for it. I mean, even doing something as simple as laying this vape down on the table and trying to grab it with night vision, it's hard to tell where it's at. So is it something nice to have? Yeah, sure. It's a cool toy, but I mean, I don't really have an opportunity to train with it or anything else. So if I did need it, how much good is it really going to be to me? Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do is prepare for what's going on right this minute and just be. That's why they call it preparing. I have car insurance because in case I get into a car accident, but I don't go out every day thinking today I'm going to get in a car accident. I just try to prepare the best I can. Yeah, becoming dangerous when it comes to military style questions and that guy really knows his crap. He was in the military for, correct me if I'm wrong, becoming dangerous, but I believe it was 10 years or more. That guy has way more experience with military stuff than I do. I'm 52 years old with two bad knees and a bad back from climbing telephone poles, being a lineman. I'd do a backflip. I'm probably going to be in a world of hurt. So that ain't happening. Oh, 14 years he was in the military. So, like I said, I've got friends that were in the military, people that seen combat and that, and I ask them questions. But if you're asking me, you're kind of really asking the wrong person just because I don't really have any experience. Your daughter's 51, James or John, she's a year younger than me then. Yeah, I don't know anything about thermal, never used it or nothing else, so I honestly couldn't tell you whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. But if becoming dangerous is saying that you'd be better off with thermal, I'm going to take his word for it. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'm not John Wick, Thomas. I mean, uh, I'm 52 years old, like I said, with two knees with no cartilage left, bone on bone, and four discs that are deteriorating in my back. I do a backflip. Um, I'll probably be doing the next live from a wheelchair. I mean, just being realistic and being honest. Yeah, I mean, time flies. I mean, it's crazy. My oldest daughter is 36. When she was 4 and 5 years old, I remember holding her, when she was sick. I remember her riding around, you know, down the street with me, just going slow and that, but she would ride around on my choppers and that. And now I look at my daughter and she's a full grown woman with kids and that, and I'm like, what the hell happened? I mean, it just seems like literally a couple months ago she was, 2 foot, 2.5 foot tall. Yeah, you're not too far off from me, Thomas. 47. You're probably starting to feel the aches and pains and all that stuff too. Yeah, it only hurt for a minute, and then another minute, and another minute, and another minute, until there's a whole lot of minutes. Um, Fallacy. I think every single person, male, female, you need to have before you worry about a handgun. You should have some kind of shotgun or rifle. You can hunt with it. You can protect your family with it. All that. Um, I think everybody should have a minimum of 2 weeks worth of food put away. Not because something's going to happen tomorrow or nothing else, but where I live, we lose power. Not as much anymore, but it seems like at least once a year we lose power. When we do, it's always out. It seems for like 3 to 5 days. I have had it out for almost 2 weeks. But if you got 2 weeks worth of food, water, some kind of protection, that's what I would call the bare minimum, in my opinion. Um, More is always better. So if you've got 2 months worth of food, that's better than 2 weeks. If you've got two guns is better than one. My dad was in the military. My dad always said two is one and one is none. If one breaks and that's all you got nothing. So yeah, the kids grow up really really fast. But no, I mean, um, whatever you normally need to survive a week, that's what you're going to need for minimum 2 weeks worth. And like I said, that's bare minimum. Me and my wife started out, we wanted to get 2 weeks worth of food, extra food. Then once we had 2 weeks worth of extra food, we wanted a month. And then once we got a month's worth of extra food, we wanted 2 months. And just guessing off the top of my head, we probably got 6, 7 months worth of food put away. Um, I try to have a right now. I don't know how anybody could do it, but back before COVID, I could go buy a box of 20 223 556 cheap ammo from Cabela's or wherever for $3 or $4 a box. Every week, I would take $20 or $25 and I would buy ammo. So let's say I bought 4 boxes of 556. I'd have two to shoot. Granted, it's only 40 rounds, but 40 rounds of practice a week is better than no rounds of practice. And then I'd put 40 rounds away in a box underneath the bed. I never touched that. At one point during COVID, I had, before I gave some away to help friends out and my kids out and that, I had a lot of 556 put away. I have, but I try and have a minimum of 250, 200 to 250 revolver rounds put away for each caliber if I can. And for semi-autos, I like to keep 500 rounds just put away, just in case there's an ammo shortage or something. I can still, go out and shoot. I can still go out and practice and stuff like that. So yeah, my dad was in Vietnam, and I mean, he didn't teach us like vehicle tactics or nothing, but my dad was a hot rider. He was a street racer when I was a kid. So we learned how to work on cars. We learned how to drive like idiots, stuff like that. But I've never had any like special training other than a couple combat veterans that I know very well. Tried to teach me some combat style training as far as with ARs and pistols and stuff like that. But like I said, I don't feel qualified to teach anybody. I mean, I'm just a regular guy. I have no combat experience. So, me trying to tell somebody on how to do combat type stuff is just, I think I would be bullshitting people and lying to them. Yeah, that three horned sheep is actually what they call a Jacob's ram, and they can have anywhere from 2 horns to 6 horns. That one just happens to have three. I shot that Jacob's ram and that boar on a hunting trip with um, my son when he was 11 or 12 years old. and he shot a boar, and it was just something that me and him did together that we really, I don't know, it was a good bonding experience for us. And we ate that meat. And honestly, that year I had shot 3 deer. We shot that ram and the 2 boar. We didn't buy any meat for over a year. We had plenty of meat. And it was crazy because we were eating mostly natural stuff out of the garden. And with that fresh meat, that whole year, nobody got sick. Nobody even got a cold. And I often wonder if all the preservatives and that they put in the food, if your immune system isn't trying to fight with all the preservatives in the food, if that's why people don't get sick easier now, it seems like, than when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, I don't remember all these preservatives. Maybe I'm wrong. Thank you, fallacy. Um, I could not give out free memberships, so I set the membership at $1 because people have asked me about doing memberships, and eventually, what I'm gonna do is probably, like, I'll put up a poll or something and do some members videos where you guys can, maybe members send in videos or something, or pictures of their guns, and we'll do a video, showing what different people like, or whatever. Or like when I do videos, maybe I'll try and do like an early thing where the members get to see it a day before. If I could do memberships for free, for some reason YouTube don't let you do that. They only let you have to at least do the minimum is $1. Um, if they offered them for free, I would just give people free memberships. I'm not trying to. If I'm going to make any money off my videos, I'll let it be off of YouTube paying me. I don't have super chats turned on the channel. I don't do the gifts, like the people can send you gifts and that. Times are tight. People are struggling. People are hurting. I mean, there's people that have to choose between putting gas in the gas tank and food for their dogs or cats or maybe even their kids. So I don't want any super chats. That's why I turn that off. I don't want these stickers where somebody gives you a sticker, or whatever. They pay $10 or whatever. I'm just not. That's not about me. Um, the memberships, do not feel like you need to join. Some people asked me to do that. I did that for them. Um, but please do not ever feel obligated to give me anything. If I could give out free memberships, if I could just do members and it was free, I would do it for free. If they would let me do memberships for a penny, I'd do them for a penny. So, but thank you for the membership. But like I said, you don't want my beard. This thing is old and gray. It's not by anything. I did actually think about, like, when I did that Glock video. It wasn't a real Glock, but it was kind of a joke thing. People thought it was. I may just randomly throw something like that fake Glock into a bag or something and reach out to a member and just send it to them or something. I don't know. Like I said, I don't feel comfortable taking money from people. Um, so if there is a membership, I got to figure out some way of giving them something for it. Thank you, Kent. You have a good night. Um, but I'm really probably not going to go too much longer. I'm going to go watch a movie with the wife and spend some time with her. Yes, by the way, um, John has a channel too, and he does a lot of. He's got some really interesting stories and guns. If you want to go check him out, Rod has a channel. They, Jay Wheeler has a channel. It's pretty cool that a lot of the guys that are subscribers also have their own channels, and there's just I found that the community that I hang around with, like Plowboy and 11 Bang Bang and that, we all keep in touch and that. It's just there are a lot of down to earth people. I don't really know any big channels that I hang out with or associate with. Desert Boy, there's another one that started a channel. See, my brain, I don't know what it is. When you turn a camera on, I have a hard time. I want to shout out every single channel, but I just can't remember them. So if any of you guys got a channel, even if I don't know who you are, if you're a new subscriber or something, if you've got a channel, feel free in the comments to say, hey, I got a channel, check it out. I just would ask that you don't spam where it says, I got a channel, I got a channel, I got a channel 100 times so that nobody else can get a comment in there. But if you've got a channel, even if it's something out, that isn't gun related, I watch car channels, I watch prepping channels. If you want to shout your channel out in the comments, always feel free to shout your channels out in the comments. Vinny the Pooh, love his channel. He's one of my Canadian buddies, so check him out. I wouldn't worry about it too much, Vinny. I think that's all going to die off here pretty soon. This whole talk of tariffs and that. Canada and the United States have been friends and not friendly back and forth so many times depending on the day that I wouldn't sweat it too much. If there are tariffs, I don't think they'll stay long. Thank you very much, Fallacy, for coming on to the channel tonight, and I appreciate that. I hope you have a wonderful night. Fluffy, you get a hold of me sometime, buddy. We can meet up and hang out. I mean, I've known you since we were probably 8, 9 years old, and definitely we should get together. And you got my number. Give me a call. For me, it's probably easier for you to call me than it is for me to call you, because with my job, I can talk while I'm working as long as I'm not up on a pole. If I'm just sitting on the ground splicing cable or something, I got earbuds in, I can talk. Lucifer, I'm doing really good. I can't complain. Yeah, I've heard of them, Tom, but I've not. I'm kind of old school. I don't. The technology thing's hard. My youngest daughter, really helped me a lot when I was setting up the YouTube channel. I didn't grow up with all the technology, and I find it for some reason harder for me to learn. That's why, not to mention, the first two channels I ever watched on YouTube were Paul Harrell and Plowboy's Ghost. And I found that they just seemed like down to earth guys, like I could sit in a bar and drink a beer with or something. So they didn't have a whole lot of real fancy editing in that. They were just like the guy next door hanging out, bullshit, and drinking a beer. And because I'm not good with technology, I kind of lean the same way as them. I don't do a whole lot of real fancy editing and stuff like that. I'm just not a technology guy. Yeah, Plowboy's Ghost is a very good friend of mine. I mean, very good friend of mine. I talk to him fairly regularly. And between him and Paul Harrell, I kind of tried to set my channel up like them guys, where I just wanted to, what I felt like, not a lot of drama, not a lot of fancy editing and that, just the real deal. And so, like I said, Plowboy, I don't know who it was, Plowboy or Paul Harrell, but them were the very first two channels I ever subbed to. And like I said, there's lots of channels out there, really good channels, and some of them are bigger, but a lot of them are smaller. And I don't know. like I said, I like all kinds of stuff, so I like all kinds of channels. Yeah, we're like Fluffy 10 millimeter. We're technically impaired, or as my sister used to like to say, I have a mental deficiency disorder. You know, Guns and Water, I could absolutely see that. And it's funny because I took a clip from another short and I added Mary Carter's Paint Store, that song, I think it's I've Got Rights, to it. And then the first thing that happens within minutes is Plowboy tells me, hey, you know, that store's still there. And if they got a 44 in stock, you can still buy it. That guy has so much knowledge about things that Plowboy is just a really good guy. And I am definitely proud to call him one of my good friends. I am a communications lineman, Desert Boy. I never had the desire to play with power. I've had some close calls where power came down while I was working on telephone or fiber or cable TV, and I don't want nothing to do with power. That stuff there, there's no, if there's an accident with power and you get hit by it, odds are you're not coming back from it. Hey, Becoming Dangerous, thank you. I still want to get you on one night. You said you were going to get a hold of me a couple of days ago. I really wanted to have you on tonight. Eventually, I'm going to get Plowboy's Ghost on here, and another channel that I've become really good friends with, Mill Creek Range. I'd love to get Plowboy and Mill Creek Range on at the same time. And Vinny, I threw out an invitation to you a couple times. If you ever want to go live on here with me, you just reach out to me and we'll set something up. I don't think Trudeau's going to be in much longer. I think just from different things I've seen in that, I don't think you guys are going to have to worry about him. I think within a year he's going to be gone. I don't call him Trudeau though. I call him Turd Blow. I really don't like that guy. You know, that's why I said sometimes I can be a really nice guy and sometimes I can be an opinionated jerk. So, all right, folks, I think I'm going to get off of here and go hang out with my wife for a little bit. But some of you guys asked me to do a live, so I figured, you know what? You guys wanted it. I'll do the best I can, and I appreciate you all sticking on as long as you did, especially on a Saturday night. I'm sure there's better things to do than listen to me ramble on, but I do appreciate it. And again, I hope every one of you have a good night. Hillbilly, it's really good to see you. You've become a good friend of mine too. So everybody have a good one, and thank you very much. Thank you, Mile High. I will be adding some of you as moderators before the next live. So again, thank you, and I hope everybody has a good night.